Okay, now we have reached the final session of today. Okay, just a show of hands. How many of you are still awake? You sure? Now for all of you who are still awake, please give me a good, loud shout. Yeah! Okay? 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Good. What happened to you? Okay, next. Of course, we've come to our panel sessions. I would say the most interesting part of today's presentation, where you see the most panels, or most, I would say, speakers on stage, okay? Now, without further ado, I think let's invite the panelists for now, okay? And all of them are good friends, so I'm going to call you by name. First and foremost, let's give a big round of applause to Professor Thuy from Vietnam. She's a lecturer of marketing and branding from VNU Universities. Not loud enough, that's why she's not stepping out. Okay, again, one big round of applause, please. Thank you for our most beautiful. I've never seen a prof like you. Right, agree? If she would have been my prof, she'll be the most, I probably will do very well in marketing. Okay, please take a seat, prof. Over here. The last seat. And next will be our most favorite singer, which will be singing after this session. There's none other than Miss Arlene, President and CEO of Mykartero. Hi guys, you're sleeping. This side all sleeping, right? Okay, let's try again, huh? Miss Arlene! Good. Okay, third panelist, our local favorite. Okay, and he's someone that I knew for quite a while. Fun guy, and we always have fun together. Mr. Andi from Indonesia, founder and director of Intercounbix. I think the applause are not good enough. When it comes to ladies, they always got the big round, big applause. It's okay, we all can understand. Okay, next on the list, our favorite guy also from Sri Lanka. There's none other than Dr. Dilhan, the Vice President of the Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing. And our fifth panelist, personal favorite. I think we are partners in crime. In most of the time, you can see both of us together. There's none other than Mr. Sajid. Please give a big round of applause. Group CEO, Executive Editor of Bangladesh Brand Forum. Last but not least, I would like to invite Dr. Tosit from Thailand, who is an entrepreneur and the right mentor. Yeah, thank you. You know, he's a right mentor. I'm the wrong one. Okay, now today's our topic. Do you know what's our topic today? You sure? I was given the right to change the topic. Okay, by the way, today we're talking about entrepreneurs. Okay, well, I have not introduced myself yet, right? Okay. Who knows my name, by the way? Thank you, sir. I love you. Okay, by the way, my name is Roger. I'm the first Vice President of the Asian Marketing Federation, and of course, also the President of the Marketing Institute of Singapore. Okay? And I'm regular here. In fact, you know, they always put me at like the time slot that most of y'all will be like sleeping. Okay, nevertheless, now entrepreneurs across the ASEAN or Asia today are operating in a very challenging world. Agree? Yeah, we all agree. Huh? I'm an entrepreneur myself. I've got 3 companies. And you know, day in, day out, it's really tough to be an entrepreneur. Okay? Especially if I do not have the right mentor like Dr. Tosit. I'm just kidding. Okay? So there are many opportunities and there are many complications. Okay? So today, we've lined up a group of very, very good panelists to actually answer to some of the very difficult questions. Okay, and most of them actually comes with a lot of experience. I know, Arlene, you are into logistics, correct? And Sajid, for goodness sake, I don't know how many hats you wear. All right. So now, I'll a bit more freestyle. Okay. Now, entrepreneurial marketing. I just want to hear from each and every one of you.
So thank you for your questions, and I would like to say hello for everyone from Vietnam. Yes, okay. So I'm also the entrepreneurs, the educational entrepreneurs. So I think that's some of the key factors that entrepreneurs need. At first is the adaptabilities with the changing of their digital age. Everything changes so fast. The first, the second is around about the empathies. Yes, with like I'm the educational entrepreneurs, and I really like about the educate the student, educate the people. And the last is be either the huge vision, not only around the locals, areas, or maybe have the big vision for global vision, or maybe some like the sustainable vision or so on. Those are some of the key factors. And of course, some expanding like the good appearance, like the rocker ones, the other doesn't make, and the friendly, just is expanding. Yeah, so thank you.
No extra time for her, don't worry. Kidding. Sorry.
Sure. Can I show my slide? Just one slide.
Yes, you'll come to your slide later.
Yeah,
Just a teaser. In your own opinion, okay, maybe the slides later. In your own opinion, what do you think are the qualities that an entrepreneur should possess? I know you are an entrepreneur yourself. Just speak from your heart. That's all we want to know.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me again, Pak Hermawan. Good afternoon, everyone. All people from the room and out of the room, good afternoon. Basically, an entrepreneur right now, you have to be very sensitive. I think that is the top for me. Sensitive in a sense that what is happening in the marketplace, what you can do. So it's really the sensitivity and the solution that you can offer. What you have is something that one of the traits that an entrepreneur should have at this point in days. Yeah. So I don't have to say much about it because we all know, because a lot of you are marketers, also are very sensitive to the market.
Yeah, very right. So we have all our feeders on the ground so we can read the trends, right? By the way, please look out for our Asia Marketing Federation top 10 trends. Okay, you can find it on our website of the Asia Marketing Federation on the 1st of January. Just selling a bit of trying to sell AMF at the same time. Now, of course, Andi comes to you. So yes, rightly said, we need to feel the ground. We must be sensitive. We must be able to predict. What about you, Pa?
Yes, yeah. I'm so happy that finally we talk about entrepreneur and in relation to marketing, because for years, maybe for 20 years, we only talk about marketing, that we never related to the entrepreneur. Because eventually every business can only be seen from the financial report. And marketing is only on the top line. There's so much until down to the bottom line. So at the end, we just need to say the bottom line, because that lies the sustainability of the business, not the marketing. So I'm so happy that Pak Hermawan now focusing on talking about finance. I am a finance guy, but we are active in a marketing association. so let me give you one perspective on how NVIDIA become the world's first $5 trillion US company. It is not a marketing strategy. It is a financial structuring. So, in 2025, NVIDIA announced that it's going to invest in OpenAI for $100 billion. And then later on, it is the same money that NVIDIA gives to OpenAI to purchase hardware too from NVIDIA. So that's actually not a market strategy. That's a financial structuring. So what happened between investing and repurchasing That's the soaring stock share of NVIDIA. So that's why we need to understand finance, not only marketing, and maybe finance more than marketing now. So we need just to be familiar with financial terms, especially for global company like transfer pricing, base erosion and profit shifting, because now it is the term that defines the sustainability of the company, not the marketing. So we need to be familiarize ourselves to the term of, like I say, profit shifting, because every company, every big tech company now is profiting not from the marketing strategy, but from shifting their profit from one country to another country to lower tax, and that's even more profitable than selling a product. So let me tell you that, maybe how many of you are familiar with the term leverage economic? Any one of you? This term is coined by Paul Krugman, the Nobel Prize economic. This has happened because on 2014, Apple, you know Apple, we use Apple, he transferred amount of money, 300 billion US dollar to Ireland. That's the single, the biggest profit shifting in history. That is how Apple keep their financial sustain by shifting their profit to country which is not. Oh yeah.
Let me try.
Yeah, shifting the profit from high tax to lower tax or even zero tax. So you can see now that Alphabet, Meta, Microsoft, Oracle, all in Ireland. So they listed their company as an R&D company, then they got zero tax. So that's how the big tech company sustain their profit. So we are, as a marketer, need to be familiarize ourselves with the financial term. So I think that's just the beginning. So we may have discussion on this. So this is my my specialization. I'm a consulting company. I'm an entrepreneur actually, Roger. So I built my own consultation company, giving advice to global company in terms of transfer pricing. So how they transact from other country to another country, and how they can get profit, not from selling a product, but from structuring their transaction, and they can get even more profitable than selling a product. So that is now a trend in a big tech company. I think that's for.
That's all for you today, Pak Adi. You can come down. I'm kidding. Okay, good. Coming from a financial aspect, right? Which is very important to be an entrepreneur. You must be able to do your math, your sum, calculating your P&L, how to leverage on taxations, government. I'm not asking you all to evade tax, by the way. Leveraging on what are the tax incentives, correct? And that is really what we call a true entrepreneur, that they are able to see opportunities. Right, next, of course, we have a very interesting guy, Dr. Dilhan. Dr. Dilhan, you yourself, you lead a very big team. Okay, and of course, you needed leadership and entrepreneurship, you know. So can you tell me, in your own definition, a true entrepreneur itself, what are the qualities that they need to possess? Because everyone would like to, you know, I met with everyone, in fact. They say, I would like to be a boss one day. I would say this, you know, are you sure? You know, being an entrepreneur, being boss, you never rest, you know. You work 7 days, almost 24 hours. Do you agree with me, sir? You are an entrepreneur yourself, right? You never rest. Well, if you are a staff, you know, you can rest. You have your off day, you have, you know, your holidays and everything. And as an entrepreneur myself, wherever I talk to my partner, it's always about, how's work today? How's our sales? Are we losing these customers? It's always like that. So, Dilhan, so in your very own definition, what are the qualities you think, as a serial entrepreneur yourself, that we should possess?
Yeah, thanks, Roger, and good afternoon to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. So my take on this topic is particularly now, what the textbooks used to tell us is, to become an entrepreneur, you need to have a space, which could be a land or something, and then a capital, then an effort. But then, what is the capital? Usually what we thought of capital is the financial capital. But gone are the days that it was the only requirement of one of those three key requirements. Now, capital had become not only financial, people realized that you need human capital. To manage human capital and to manage financial capital, you need knowledge capital. So the entrepreneur of the modern day in these challenging times, in the last 10 years, how many calamities and disasters we faced as a region. And in my country, Sri Lanka, even the same. So, I mean, even now there is a calamity weather-wise. And so, in doing this, as an entrepreneur, if you have the resources, financially fine, and but that doesn't necessarily mean that to become an entrepreneur, you need money. As long as you have the knowledge is available amply online. We live in the day and age where everything is at our fingertips. And also, if you have the knowledge, then you will be able to manage everything else, such as the finance or the human capital, any other resources that you may possess. And also, the other thing is, even if you have all these 3 or 4 things together, if you do not have the charisma to build a vision through it and have a go at it, the real effort or real essence of you being an entrepreneur will not come. So you need to be a person who is ready to, as Roger said, you need to be ready to devote 24/7, 365. Now, me being an entrepreneur, for a longest time, I had my WhatsApp status as 24/7, 365. People would ask me, what is this? I said, you need to minimize your hours of sleep, means you need to invest more time on what you want to do, what you are passionate about. So passion, making it a vision, and going through it need a lot of effort. So what textbook really told us in theory is not the case when it came to practicality in the day and age we are living in. So that's my take, Roger, on what are the essential qualities an entrepreneur should have.
Very good, Dr. Dilhan. You're talking about literacy, all right? So you have to equip yourself with skill set in order for you to be a good entrepreneur. Financial literacy, leadership literacy. I can actually sum up just one before I go to you, sir. That of course, entrepreneurs may stay ahead, if they embodied things like creative, innovation, entrepreneurship, and leadership. And this is something that actually Hermawan, Pak Hermawan, and Mark Plus has actually come up with this framework. Very interesting. Now, of course, next panel, it's Mr. Sajid. Mr. Sajid is someone that we spend long hours when we meet. And you talk about lack of sleep. He is the one that I can always tell you, lack of sleep, and at the same time, quite innovative, especially towards the late night of the day itself. Okay, Sajid, I know you actually come from a corporate background initially, even from government servants. Right? For you to switch your mindset from a government servant to a corporate background and finally to be an entrepreneur, right? What are the challenges that you think you face? And what are the qualities? Changes in leadership perhaps would remain the same. When you are as a government servant, top government servants in the army, I believe, and then in corporate, and back to an entrepreneur. All right. So what do you think? Does it change in terms of how you lead the people? So perhaps you'd like to say something.
Thank you, Roger. I wouldn't call myself an entrepreneur. Rather, I'll call myself an intrapreneur because it was Professor Fahad Sir's idea to start Bangladesh Brand Forum. Then Sharif Bhai actually took the initiative. So you rightly pointed out, I started my career with Army, then moved through different backgrounds. But marketing was the core, always. Right at this very age, what I see and what I believe, the number one thing is an entrepreneur should do and should have is authenticity. No matter what you are doing, you have to be authentic because you cannot fool people. I'll give you examples of that. Number two thing is, be it a person or be it a brand or be it a company, you need to solve a problem. So the problem solving has to be there. If you do not solve problem for others, you do not actually have a footprint in this globe. So for example, Mr. Roger Wang has went to Myanmar. He has done amazing things in Myanmar. Now, he has a global footprint. Our very own friend from Sri Lanka, Mr. Rohan, he donated water bottles in the airport when people were stranded after the cyclone. So these are the very human examples how you set yourself for others. So now taking these examples from an entrepreneurial point of view. An entrepreneur actually creates a solution which actually solves problem for others. I'll start with Singapore. In Singapore, people had problem with their houses because those are tiny houses. Now, a group of bunch of kids came up from university, and in their university, they started a company called Carousel. They started a company called Carousel. Why? Because they said, okay, you don't need this furniture, sell it out. So they created an online B2B place where people could sell, their used furniture or used things. So they solved the problem. And they're a big hit now in Singapore. If we go to Vietnam, in Vietnam, I believe the company is called Foodie.vn that started and doing amazing thing, that food startup. And they also started pretty small, and they solved the problem. In the Philippines, there's this company. In Philippines, potato is very popular, we all know. So a company, actually in 1992, they came up, just imagine, cheddar potato, crispy potato, thousands of recipes of potato only. And they named themselves Potato Corner. They had no budget, but they solved the problem. In Indonesia, traffic is heavy, so Gojek is a problem. In Sri Lanka, Pick Me is a solution. In Bangladesh, traffic is heavy, Pathao is a solution. In Thailand, let's say Grab. They all solved the problem. Now, if we take this all companies together, there's one thing common. He spoke about three currencies, right? You need to have literacy, you need to have knowledge, you need to have finance, and the third thing was you need to have, sir? Effort. Remember the fourth thing, which is the big corporations also. You need to have social currency. Right at this very moment, each and every company is going social first, which means you need to ride the trend. If you miss the trend, globally you can search this thing. If you miss the trend, then actually your company might fail. And you have to be apologetic. If you do something wrong, you say it out loud. I'm sorry, I've done a mistake. Be authentic. The problems you're giving, that's how the book of Pak Hamawan comes. Because in Pak Hamawan's book, he mentioned about two clusters. One is entrepreneurial cluster, and one is professional cluster, professionalism cluster, where the entrepreneurial cluster actually goes into a journey of creative thinking, problem solving, innovation, leadership, where the other cluster, professionalism cluster, comes in and kicks in and talks about, be methodical, be strategical, follow the process. So there's a proper balance in a company. And so an entrepreneur at the same time needs to have that agility that, yes, I need to move fast. The trend is changing. At the same time, as the prof said, he need to have all those three knowledges. So that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Sajid. I can't help to think that when you were mentioning potato chips, crispy chips, everything, I can understand why, sir. Yes. No kidding. Very bad as a moderator. Prof. Fahad, please don't hate me for that. Okay, next, of course, our very own Dr. Tosit. Okay, Doctor, you are also representing the small and medium enterprise, all right, in Thailand itself. I think among your members, you probably have seen, in fact, if not, all of them are actually entrepreneurs. What are the qualities that typifies an entrepreneur in Thailand itself? I know Thailand has always been very creative. Have you seen some of the TVC? All right, some of the TikTok that's coming from Thailand is so interesting. All right, all this can't be done without creativity. And Thailand, to me, the Thai people are always very creative. They always think out of the box. They somehow or other they can come up with something that's so interesting, so captivating at the same time. So, Dr. Tosit, maybe you'd like to share with us why it's so different, I can sense that there's a sense of difference in Thai. The fighting spirit, the thing that they wanted to achieve, the fearless factor of bridging the boundary. Can you share with me on this?
Okay, thank you, Mark Roger. In Thailand, yes, we are the country of creativity. All around Thailand, we are good in food, in performance, in the, like you say, TikTok, right? I saw TikTok every day for the young then every day. That's good. They are the creative. and they have a TikTok live also. They are all the, I think they are all the entrepreneur, but they don't know what are they doing for. They can get the money, but they have no solution, no system. They have no idea about how different the business owner and the entrepreneur. I mean, entrepreneur, they should do every day, every time, every minute should be the entrepreneur, but they have no system. That's why I'm the entrepreneur before, still now. I have the restaurant before, but now I have nothing. I have only 3 or 4 staff, freelance staff. No need to stay at my office. I have no office now. Okay, I freelance. I can go to work everywhere, to work with the entrepreneur. Okay, the potential in Thailand now is for the people to transfer the business to the kid, because now in Thailand we are the 3rd generation of mostly from the Chinese people from China to have their own business, and they move to the entrepreneur, and they want to send the business to the young. Now the young the age allowed 30 around 30. It's not easy to handle the big business, the big company. So that's why the Thailand they have to set up, and yes, and I think the point of the business in Thailand, if you want to tell something or to contact the people in Thailand, the first thing, important thing is the relation. We start with the relationship, right? We start the relation. If we are the Thai, we can talk. If you want to work, to sell something, to do business with the Thai people, you start with the relation. It's good for and business later. The relation first. If we trust, I think we similar to Japan. If we trust you, we can do the business together. That's why about the Thai. Thank you.
That's a concept that's very... Okay, I'll come back to you. Sure. Huh? Okay, sure. I think that is a concept that's very Chinese. 关系, right? But I remember you were mentioning the relationship before business. Okay, so that's how you gain your trust. So as entrepreneur, you must be able to actually capitalize on this relationship building. Well said. Okay, Arlene, you've got something that you want to add on?
I wanted to add more because I was listening to the input. I have to break the glass here because entrepreneurship is not for everyone. It's not for everyone. If you're used to being an employee with your salary intact every month, when you're an entrepreneur, you're not guaranteed. Yeah, you're not guaranteed. You don't know if your business idea would fly, if your business concept would move forward. And there's so many, as Paharmawan said, it's a VUCA world. Yeah, volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. And in these times where, especially for SMEs, where you have limited capacity and funds, then you really have to be courageous. You really have to be brave. If you're not brave enough to face your challenges in those uncertainties, in those ups and downs, then you better stop, you know. And there would be moments when, like pandemic came and everybody closed. Business went down, you know, how would you settle that? If that is something you can handle, then go for it. If not, then better be an employee than to be an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur also can easily spot opportunities. In spite of there's volatility and ambiguity, when he sees an opportunity to create solutions for problems, opportunity to address gaps, then you are on the right track. So courage, bravery is something that one of the critical things an entrepreneur must have.
Well said, you know. Like there are many of the junior staff that comes to me, boss, I want to be like you one of these days. I always give words of encouragement. You can, but have you ever considered what I've gone through? Is this something that you would like to go through again? All right, for the very fact that during COVID, thanks for bringing back COVID. Back in COVID, we were all wondering, can we survive the next month without any revenue, without any income? Our business will suffer. Actually, in Singapore, right, I'm from the events and conference industry, 60% of the companies in Singapore closed down for events and conference because there's nothing to do anymore. But on the other hand, what I did was I went online immediately. All right, when we have a lockdown where you're not supposed to come out from your house, I'm a risk taker, like what you said. You have to take risks. I set up the green room at home, and I started to continue engaging my customers from there. Right, and I think some of you still remember we have the 21 days free webinar lunchtime. Right, that was done under the EMF and MIS banner. That was done from my house. Well said, I like that. Okay, but there's something that's very interesting. You're talking about, not everyone can be an entrepreneur. All right? True enough, you need to actually have the risk that you are able to withstand resilience at the same time. But is there a difference between an entrepreneur and entrepreneurial spirit? Right? Is there something that you can actually take off as an entrepreneurial spirit within an organization? And this is something that we can identify as a form of leadership at the same time. Because not all of you will end up to be entrepreneur. You'll probably be working for large corporation. And in large corporation itself, do you think this entrepreneur spirit exists? So anyone on my panel can take on that questions. Sajid?
A spirit will work in an organization as long as it's consistent. As Arlene said, entrepreneur, it's a journey. You never know what's going to come. It's a never-ending journey. You're always an entrepreneur. You're day in, day out, you're solving problem, you're riding the trend, things are not working, you're going out of your way to solve a problem, asking for help from others. But specifically for the young kids, Gen Zs, my recommendation would be you might have an entrepreneurial spirit, but that has to be consistent. You need to follow it up. You need to take it forward and consistently work on it. As he was saying, there are a lot of people in TikTok, they're earning money. Same is happening in Bangladesh as well. There are a lot of people in digital world, in YouTube, in TikTok, they're earning money, but they don't have a purpose. They don't know what they're doing. For example, in many of the countries we have seen TikTok was banned. Now, where do these people go? They have nothing to do. Suddenly they're out of work. They're not earning any more money. So platforms can close anytime. But that's where the real entrepreneurial spirit kicks in. If you really have that entrepreneurial spirit embedded, okay, fine, this platform has closed down, I'll find my way out, and I'll create another solution, and I'll keep on doing if he has an entrepreneurial spirit. If the entrepreneurial spirit is for time being, it's cool to have, because right now, as she was breaking the glass, let me break a glass too. Let's not follow a trend which is cool to have only. If you don't have the guts of having it, don't have it. As you mentioned, COVID, during COVID time, from Bangladesh Brand Forum, we made the highest profits because my operational cost went down, my profitability went up. So the revenue was less, the profitability was highest among all the 18 years we have been operating. So COVID generated the highest profitability for me. So you need to actually see through the problem, reach the end of the tunnel. If you reach the end of the tunnel, the light is there waiting for you, and that's an entrepreneur for me.
Well said. I think, what you have mentioned is entrepreneur must be able to actually identify good opportunities, all right, and weigh the pros and cons and capitalize on it. Okay? Right, good. So back to Dr. Dao, or Professor Dao itself. Now, Vietnam is actually seen as Southeast Asia one of the most promising investment destinations. Okay? And beyond growing market, in fact, the government has very strong support for startup, and this has made the country even more attractive to invest in. And in fact, the launch of the National Startup incubator or the incubator summit of 2025 has actually marked a very important step forward, and which is supported by a young group, the new generations of young entrepreneurs. Now, from an academic perspective itself, you also see students quickly spotting all these opportunities and responding to what the market needs, and showing how Vietnam entrepreneurial spirit is growing. Amazing. In Vietnam itself, I can see a lot of female entrepreneurs. Right, like it or not, it's not just a male dominance, unlike in most countries. Right, not that I'm gender specific, but in Vietnam itself, even the female entrepreneurs, they would like to actually do business. The entrepreneur spirit somehow it's in them. So perhaps you'd like to share with us. I think you do have a slides.
Yeah, yes.
Would you like to flash, Prof? Slides?
Okay,
Thanks.
so I think that's the entrepreneurial spirit in Vietnamese. In Vietnam nowadays is moving from the necessary drivers to the opportunity drivers. And the entrepreneurs and young entrepreneurs have to find the gaps of the market and changing the consumer behaviors, the sustainability trend, and the digital transformation to find something new. And this is the examples about, look at my slides. This is the world's first mobile location-based marketing from Vietnam, and expand the other country. Now expand in Indonesia. We have the branch in Indonesia. And Miss Charlie, this is represent from Vietnam. Yes, no, Indonesians, but branch in Vietnam. So that's it. We have to find the gaps between the traditional and the digital marketing tools. For example, location-based marketing, this is a win-win sharing economy concepts, and the brand is a wings. That's the consumers and Wi-Fi users share about your location. Yes, some your information if you want to free Wi-Fi in some of the store. Yes, after that, the wing create your personas and provides the network, the SPS, and service provider with the Wi-Fi partners. For example, that's the Starbucks, the Winmart, the Circle K, and so on. And if you are to agree to share own media channels and also get the revenue share, with the own media channel, you can promote and share the message about the customer service or your own the marketing campaign in that's a Wi-Fi location-based marketing. But in contrast, that the advertisers. For example, I am the tourism agent, and I see that, oh, you go to the Starbucks store. Maybe your persona is suitable. You are my target customer, right? I want to deliver the message for you, and through through the wings, the national digital marketing, you can deliver another message. And of course, the Starbucks, the Winmart, the Circle K can get revenues. This is a win-win economy sharing. Yes, and this is the first mobile location-based marketing I want to impress us. That's a trust by top brand, authentic user, geolocation insights, and about the interact ads. For example, what if you want to deliver the sample? You can use the location-based marketing for the true targets, real-time targets customer, right? And that's a technology-enabled advertising and can combine with the other digital marketing platforms and tools like the Facebook, TikTok, or so on. And this is a startup from Vietnam and expand to other countries. So this is the entrepreneurial spirit that we have to change the things and maybe find the gaps between the big country, the big companies all over the world. So find the little gap, but enhance, yes, and can get the money and based on the win-win economy shares. This is for example, yes, about this. And in the future, maybe this is also my partners, and also expand for other countries by like Philippines, Bangladesh, of course, and Thailand and Malaysia. And we start a new branch in Indonesia from June this year. Yes, okay.
Well,
Okay,
interesting, right? She's not just a prof. She's an entrepreneur. She's a businesswoman.
Yes.
And,
So,
I think you're my good friend, right? Please bring me along your entrepreneur journey. Okay, All right, next questions will be for Arlene. Arlene, Philippines, we know, is actually emerging as one of the world's fastest growing in e-commerce and helping to drive the whole Southeast Asia rapid expansion in the area of online spending. Okay, but according to the data itself from the consumer intelligence from Nielsen, Nielsen IQ, it was identified as underserved needs in logistic and SME shipping. So meaning there's still a gap up there, right? Okay, so it's not really serving that market itself. So how are Filipinos entrepreneurs able to reshape their GTM strategies, their go-to-market strategies, in response to such a rapid rise in e-commerce and logistic involvement? Are you able to fulfill that? Now, drawing that back to entrepreneurship, how do you think we can actually, as an entrepreneur, as someone that wants to actually form a company to actually solve that or resolve that issues itself, how would they want to react? I believe you also have a slides. Okay, can we
Thank
flash
you.
the slides from
Allow me
Arlene?
to stand.
Sure.
Yeah. So it's very short. And this is something that I'd like to share with you, not just coming from being an entrepreneur, but coming from the logistics business of more than 25 years. That's how old I am. So, Mykartero, let me just share with you the story. When I look back at the beginning of Mykartero, it didn't start with grand business plan or a big investment. It began with a frustration. Just as you've said, there was a gap and no one was giving attention to it. Not the big brothers who are in the logistics business, not the oldest postal authority in the Philippines. No one was taking care of our MSMEs. And it was a question and a burden in my heart. Why is it so hard for Filipino entrepreneurs to reach the world, to go global, to join the bandwagon of e-commerce and be able to sell their beautiful pearls, crafts, and bulks, and whatever creatives that they may have done to the rest of the world? Why can't we? Why do SME, the backbone of our economy, feel so invisible in the logistics industry? Going around the country as a mentor of the Department of Trade and Industry, or what we call the Go Negosyo during the presidency of Duterte, we went around the country and there was a cry from our small and medium entrepreneurs to really go global. How do we go global? And how can we compete and make our cart conversion high? Because that time it was really down. For years, I've witnessed Filipino online sellers, homegrown brands, creatives, and even our OFW families, struggling with cross-border shipping, slow processes, and expensive rates. Very expensive rates, basically because the mentality, when you want to go export, it's on the traditional side, you go bulk. But in the age of digitalization and e-commerce, we're no longer talking about bulk. We're talking about parcelization. When you talk about 20 grams and 50 grams, like I want to order this pin, this is only 50 grams. But how can you, when the shipping cost is 1,000 pesos? Thank you very much. This is mine na. MIS, ah? So, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I have my free MIS pin. So these were the experiences of feeling unprioritized. How can we support our MSMEs really grow just like China did? Singapore has supported it through Singapore Post, and all of this. There were dream blockers for our MSMEs. There were dream blockers for our OFW families wanting to send the favorite food, the favorite crafts of our overseas Filipino workers. Every delayed parcel meant delayed income for all of us. Every lost shipment means a lost customer. And every unclear process became a barrier between a Filipino and a client for them going global. And that was the early signal. So what we did then is really, what I saw wasn't just a logistics delay problem. I saw an underserved market. And tens of thousands of MSME ready to scale globally, but constrained by systems weren't designed for them. So what we did really was to jump into the technology bandwagon, and I saw solutions in the sector that I was. I am in both courier and postal, and I saw that there were opportunities that we can close the gap, no? Close the gap. Small sellers who shipped only once a week because of rates were too high, digital entrepreneurs who felt intimidated by customs, etc., etc. So what we did, and a lot of companies now in the Philippines are doing this. Operational innovation, customer experience that feels human, and the community-centric hub market. So that was what you see now being created from not just the logistics point of view, but even in marketplaces happening in the Philippines. So just like everybody else, as an entrepreneur, we almost gave up. Yeah, we almost gave up, especially when the US closed just in August. I have to tell you, that was the most heaviest burden that we had to carry as a company. We faced cash flow crisis. We had borders closed. We had companies, MSMEs complaining. And if you have very low fighting spirit and the grit, you could have given up. You could have given up. But, we held on and said, every time we would wanted to quit, God reminded us, I didn't bring you this far. I didn't bring you this far just to quit. So we continued on, believing that we can make the Philippines a global hub of SMEs-driven exports. No, even Asia, because that is something that we can do to scale up. So not just from the Philippines, but to support even the Asia Small Business Federation's tagline, Asia to the world. It's really bringing Asia to the rest of the world. So basically, that's what we saw. A lot of companies in the Philippines now embracing MSMEs, embracing e-commerce, not just for local distribution, but going to the bigger markets, which is 8 billion people globally. So that is what we're doing, educating, enabling, and supporting the growth to scale up and to be sustainable SMEs also in the Philippines. Thank you.
Yep. That should have been a keynote by itself. We can learn a lot from that. Okay, I'm going to open up questions to the floor. Now, can I have a show of hands, those from China itself? 中国的朋友 Are you around? The Chinese? 中国的朋友没有在了 Okay, maybe the Chinese would like to actually ask a question. I'm going to go down to the floor. Okay? Now, if I'm going to come to you, please ask the questions. You can point at any one of the panelists. They're good enough to answer any questions. Hopefully. Okay. Okay, but first, when I pass you the mic, please introduce yourself. I know who you are, but not all of them. You have been our panel speakers, right? Sorry, our keynote speakers. So maybe introduce yourself and then ask them a question on stage.
Thank you so much for sharing your insight and also experience. My name is David Sembek. Hello, everyone, again. Yeah, if you have any issue with the cybersecurity, let me know. I'm just kidding. Okay, so I'm from South Korea. About the entrepreneurship, definitely it's important to find the urgent and burning problem to solve. Because if we don't see the problem, and if we don't see the problem, then I don't think we can actually start the business itself. So in your journey, I would like to ask you how you see or identify what kind of problem you see, and you can see that whether it's urgent or not. Because sometimes it's urgent, but it's not important. It's not important, but it's also urgent. So we try to always find the urgent and burning and important problem. So I would like to ask you whether you have any framework or mechanism to identify that kind of spot the problems. That's question one. So second question is that, just one more question is that, when you see the product, for example, that's a very famous analogy, like a vitamin or painkiller. So from your perspective, when you see the startup companies or entrepreneurs, how would you weigh whether it's a really vitamin or painkiller or not in your experiences? Okay, thank you.
Complex questions, but I think our panelists good enough to answer their questions. Perhaps anyone? Dilhan? Yeah, let's take on Dilhan. And if other panelists want to fill in, please feel free.
Yeah. So I think essentially the most important thing is understanding what you really could deliver. Whether what you are trying to do is actually within your skill set or within your reach to give out. And also that has to be matched with actually requires in the market. Basically, if you don't have a requirement in the market, people won't buy basically. So the requirement has to be available in the market for us to be the supplier, bringing it to, making it our target audience. So basically, in terms of experience, I would say now, I'm into multiple industries. One thing is we do healthcare related software. So we are in Sri Lanka, Maldives, Americas, and also in the African region. So we thought initially, let's not target the bigger hospitals, bigger giants, they already have their own software. Let's target the smaller people or smaller hospital channeling centers where they need a software but at a lesser cost. That worked. In Sri Lanka, we realized that most people don't operate with such a level of superiority in technology. We introduced technology. Success-wise, in Sri Lanka, where I come from, some areas they are not very savvy in terms of making payments through the mobile or using an app. Not even not using a credit card or a debit card to make a payment because they are scared. The payment will go, whether it will be double charge or things like that. So this behavior changed the momentum of use or the tabooness of using a card or using online payment. That increased. So we replicated the same to African region, which again clicked. Because anyway, the digital savviness in terms of financially is better in African region than in my part of the world. So that worked. So likewise, I think even this is a service industry. Even for anything tangible, product related also, we need to make sure that it really can match the requirement in the market. And that obviously has to be a study that you have to do on your own. You need to do your SWOT analysis. You need to know what the external environment is, the pest deal. We may feel that it's in the book and not needed, not necessary. But then actually when you try to do it, it's actually needed. So that's why the bigger corporations do this day in and day out. That's why they are succeeding year after year. The profits are growing. But the micro, small and medium scale, let's say perhaps micro and small scale enterprises, they completely ignore this fact. They think that mere intuition and being able to think and having the, what shall I say, motivation, self-motivation is enough, which is not the case when you actually step into the market. So I think those are my inputs that I want to take, but other panelists can also contribute.
Sure.
Yes.
Dr. Thuy.
I will talk about the first question, David. Normally, the entrepreneur they have a problem. They have no idea about what the important or what the urgent. So they should find someone to help. They should find some the other opinion. They should find the other experience. So I mean maybe you find someone to your consult because they do the wrong before. Do the wrong before, and you maybe you find for the mentor who maybe they do many things, many wrong things, many right things, and they can consult you, can tell you. I think that's right.
Okay.
Yes, and I have
Yeah,
another
sure.
idea. So yeah, I'm sorry, the short answers. And from my perspectives, to the most difficulties for the SMEs or enter the entrepreneurs, the first is the resources constraints. For example, the human resources or the financial resources. But the second is from my experience that how to balance with the sales, the revenues, and the brandings. If you focus on the branding, you don't get the money immediately, right? But if you focus on the sales, sometimes you lose your reputation. So in the Vietnamese, Vietnamese entrepreneurs, that we have to find their affordable solutions to such as using the TikTok shop, the e-commerce platforms, the Zalo, you know Zalo in Vietnam, and yes, and the Facebook live stream is a selling platforms with affordable low cost, right? And with the brand, we use the personal brands, especially with the founders or the boss personal brands to get the reputation that's attacked the personal brand with the products or service. That is some ideas about this. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Well answered. Yeah, Miss Arlene, please go ahead.
Thank you. For logistics, it's very, very critical to be able to identify which is urgent and which is a priority. The first learning I got in a multinational company, act on the priority so that it doesn't become an urgent. But for an entrepreneur now, the definition has evolved. And I think if we're gonna put a framework there, it's a pie for us. Pie means P and I. P where, you would have to define, is it aligned with our purpose? The purpose as a company, why we created the service. Your purpose as an employee of the company, are you able to do it? If not, you just like Dr. Tu says, you have to get support. If you have to be able to identify whether you can do it or not, and if there's an urgency in terms of time turnaround. And then I would be the impact, which would be like, what would happen if I delay this? What would be the cost impact on the customer and the customer of the customer? Because we are supporting the growth of e-commerce in the Philippines and the growth of MSMEs. So whatever the impact of the customer is top priority, of course for them, their top priority is their customer. So being able to identify the impact of your action becomes urgent. The impact on cost for us, if it's going to be a resolution or, refund, claims, insurance, so it's very important as well. And of course, achieving the goal of the company, bottom line, follows if and when we're able to appease the customer. So for us, in this business of digital booking platform for e-commerce export, that is the way we handle whether it's urgent or priority. Thank you.
Okay, very good, well answered. The impact itself and able to actually balance across different skill set in order to deliver a very good experiential for your marketing, for your customers. Yeah, that's excellent. Okay, any questions, ma'am? Perhaps I know you are someone very intelligent from Malaysia, one of the universities itself. So perhaps you'd like to actually throw questions to the panel. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Chitra from Asia E University from Malaysia. I have a question that actually links back to education and entrepreneurship. We see today a trend for the younger generation to think that becoming an entrepreneur solves all their problems and education is no longer relevant. I think there is a danger in that because, as you have all said earlier on, becoming an entrepreneur is not so easy. There's failures. It's easy if you think you have the gumption, but you don't know what to do, etc., etc. So my question is, what would we say to that generation who think that education is no longer relevant and they're brave or brazen enough to think that what they have in mind is enough for them to make money and live comfortably for the rest of their lives without education? That's my question.
Great question, great question. Please, Arlene.
Learning from you have a very beautiful question, Chitra. I can draw from an experience because I wanted to be a doctor, but I didn't get to finish my college. But then again, there was a shift, a turn of the wind that allowed me to go. And if there is something that I would normally tell entrepreneurs and students is that you never stop learning. You may have taken a course in college that may not be useful when you become an entrepreneur, but it shouldn't stop you to learn because as an entrepreneur, there are subject matters that you have to understand: finance, HR, logistics, legal, political, etc., etc., etc. And for you to be able to grow, you should never stop learning. I think that's one.
Yeah, Sajid or Dilhan?
Yeah. Education is always the backbone. So any formal education or education is just like a building. So the more the foundation is stronger, the more taller it can grow. So for any entrepreneur, one needs to keep in mind like what an education gives is a stronger foundation. So no matter how cooler it sounds, that having no degree or being a college dropout is extremely cool enough because I'm making money. But at the end of the day, there are only few examples in this world that actually have dropped out from college and made money and was extremely successful. Given the names of, let's say, Steve Jobs or Bill Gates, let's actually think from where they dropped out, number one. Number two, throughout the process, when Steve Jobs was dropping the college, he was also taking the courses of, writing the fonts and how to create fonts. From where actually the creation of fonts came, from where actually he created the animated company Pixar. So it was at the end of the day education. Even if you talk about Mark Zuckerberg, started from the college campus. So education is extremely important because you get like-minded people, a lot of like-minded people together in one cohort. In no other place you can have that luxury of getting that cohort and test your idea. So to this younger generation, to test your idea, go to college, test it there. If you're successful, then go to market.
Yeah, Roger, can I take a minute? Yeah.
Sure, please go ahead.
So rather than talk about how to prevent this or telling import, I'll tell you what basically we do at Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing. So Sri Lanka, administrative-wise, it's 9 provinces divided in 25 districts. The tiniest administrative mechanism is the village. There are 14,000 villages. So we do few things. One thing is we are reaching out all these villages through we have 32 franchise locations, 3 campuses with 1 main Colombo campus and a head office. So all these together, what we do is we reach out to villagers telling the importance about marketing. So basically, where I come from, parents have the ambition created for the child from the day they are born, basically. First, number 1 is be a doctor. Number 2 is any kind of engineer. 3 is a lawyer. 4th is an accountant. Then rest, there are no other professions in the country. So what we are doing is we are telling people the importance of marketing. So marketing obviously recognized as a professional status in the country, but then of course when you say marketing, what people used to believe it's about going on the roads and selling stuff, like a street vendor. So we have been able to minimize that. Now we know, or the people are aware that there are 2 things. Sales is selling, marketing is actually something else which supports this so-called sales. So through this, what we are trying to do is we are telling the people, the parents, the micro scale entrepreneurs, small scale people and their families about what marketing is about. We are not teaching them any theories on the textbook what they are given in the school, but we are telling how marketing is interesting, how the brands that they see on a day-to-day basis in their small locality, how these brands have been behaving, how they have come up. Then you go to the school segment, and we give a free education. The state provides most of our education. I'm also a product of the free education given by the state. So we go to schools and in a program called Marketing Rocks. So Rocks means basically it's rocking. We go and tell the school children how marketing is, because they don't see, apart from what is in the textbook, they don't see what really marketing is, because they don't know basically. We tell them how the bigger names in the world that they see on TV, on social media have come to that level. How the brands that they see on when they watch the teledrama in the evening and the cartoon in the evening, how these brands have come up. So now essentially there's a need for people, the young generation, to study marketing. I tell the outcome also. Now with the economic crisis in 2022, 2023 era, anyone and everyone wanted to go out of the country. Any country in the world, not to stay in Sri Lanka. But actually the stats in 2024 with the Departments of Census and Statistics, only 15%, 15% have gone out of Sri Lanka actually to work or as a permanent resident in some other country. Rest are in Sri Lanka still, whoever wanted to go out. Then we have seen increase of students getting in university system. Our own, in SLIM we have about 8,500 students at a given time studying some course in some part of the country. So there are universities where 25,000 students are studying and people learn marketing. And now we have been, with all our efforts in the villages, school level and all that, we have been able to include marketing, not the small theory of marketing that we had as a definition in the school syllabus, create marketing as a subject in the textbook, which is of few chapters, which talks about brands. So textbooks are renewed once in every 3 years. So new brands will come up, local brands, international brands. It has become now a trend. So what I'm telling is that rather than thinking how to prevent this, if you keep them informed, it's all about creating awareness, then people will realize where the mistake is and they'll try to make it change. So that's my opinion, Roger.
Okay, good. Pari, please go ahead.
Yeah. Education is certainly very important for all. But the question is whether we are to be a generalist or specialist. That's, I think, the more relevant question for now. Especially in my line of business, I studied transfer pricing, a very little known subject even in academic. I don't know in this room how many of you are familiar with the term transfer pricing. Maybe none of you, only because you are professors. You know. Yeah. So only maybe in 100 people here, only one who knows what is transfer pricing. And you know that transfer pricing, for the master degree, only one university in the whole world who provide the degree of transfer pricing. So that's what I want to say, that we need to be a specialist, but at the same time, we need to study another subject to be also at the same time a generalist. Because if we stay as a specialist, we'll be outperformed by AI. So AI is now can do anything, so we as a marketer need to be more generalist. That's my view. Maybe there's a few from here that still stick to the specialist is more compatible with the current situation. But for me, now in the age of AI, generalist is more compatible. That's we can have a debate, but I think maybe the time is not.
Okay. Don't worry about the time. We've got the whole evening. No kidding.
Yes,
But
I'm
at
sorry
this time,
that I should
sorry.
give
Yes, Prof.
my experience, a short
Sure.
experience that I'm also the lecturers and work with many young students. And I give the student my advice from there are many social class, right? And how to change our social class, for example, the mass social class to the affluence and upper affluence, two ways. You know, two ways. The first is get married with the richer person. And the second, that's startup. The
That's
startup
also kind of entrepreneurship.
and so that's why I encourage my students to, startups, maybe some of the subjects in the university is not enough to make sure the startup successful. But accounting, marketing, business strategy, technology, and so on, help them to reduce the risk when they start ups. That's my answer and my advice for the students.
I'll just add with that.
Sure.
Currently, what we have seen specifically for, I know Professor Fahad very well. So what Sir has done, he is the VC of BRAC. In BRAC, he has changed the course of education. Now, by saying course of education, not saying the course says, the course of education, how it is taught. The distribution of education, because the modality has changed, the syllabus has changed. So he has created an ecosystem for people to come together to study, and when they study, they learn real life knowledge. I'm sure AIT has done the same thing. AIT have so many of institute. They have institute of sustainability, they have institute of ESG and whatnot. So, and in fact, like 15 years ago, none of these universities were teaching data science. Right now, this is one of the core subjects which has been taught. Why? Because of AI or LLM and you name it. So this big unis or even the small institutes of the big institutes are changing the courses according to the needs. So it's a supply-demand game, and I think the good unis and the good institutes are keeping up with the pace, specifically the ones who are leading the race. That's it.
Okay, thank you. I think we have come to almost the end of our plenary session. I think one thing for sure, if there's anything at all that, other than marketing that you want to learn from Prof. Dal, I would be very interesting to see if you can come up with a course on how to spot and identify a rich partner. Are you interested in that? I will be, for sure. Okay. But at this stage, I would like all of you all, please help me to give a big round of applause to welcome Her Excellency Ambassador Evangeline Tiong from Philippines. Please help me to give a big welcome. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for joining us despite of your very heavy, busy schedule. Okay, unfortunately, we've reached towards the end of our plenary sessions. And I can see that it's a very engaging one. Okay, to sum up, it's never easy to be an entrepreneur. It's never easy to build on an entrepreneurial spirit, okay? You need to, number one, perhaps go through some form of formal education to ensure that you are educated or equipped with at least some basic knowledge in terms of financial, managing in terms of marketing. Things like innovation and creative will come along the way, of course, okay? But one thing I hear, I think which is quite consistent among all of you is about resilience. Okay, as an entrepreneur itself, day in and day out, you'll meet with different sort of problems, different kind of problems. So you have to build that resilient spirit in you. Okay, and with that resiliency, you'll be able to overcome. Okay, and I've actually come across a book that was like way years back. The book, the title of the book is called Dare to Fail. All right, and this is a book coming from Malaysia, one of the Dato itself, fantastic book. All right, he always said, if you do not have the spirit of dare to fail, then it's very difficult for you to be an entrepreneur because out of 100 entrepreneurs, you probably will have one successful one, that's all. Okay, so thanks the panelists. Please help me to give a big round of applause to the panelists. They did a great job. Thank you, Miss Arlene and everyone. And thank you for having us. I'm going to hand over the mic to Mr. Iwan, our favorite person here.